Doing okay, doing okay. I just want to say at the top, you're welcome, guys. When the certain news that we're going to break down in a minute broke, it's because I was sat in the barber's chair getting a haircut. So you're very welcome for the news breaking when it did.
Yeah, doing good, doing good.
Okay, everyone should be able to hear me now. So I'm going to carry on. Apologies to everyone in the chat and on the audio pod. I'm not going to cut this out, but I'm just going to reiterate. We're going to be talking Dave Montgomery. That broke about 90 minutes ago. And then we're going to be breaking down the NFL Combine as well as some other news and bits and pieces. So, first, our Discord channel. So I've been thrown off by this totally. Our Discord channel, please do come and join us. It's the best time of year to do it with the off-season coming here and all the draft stuff that we're doing. So please do come and join us there. Links in the live chat right now. College Football Podcast and what's coming up this week?
We'll probably be doing a bit more combine and draft stuff this week. I'm not entirely sure just yet, but we'll get to it. There'll be probably some more deeper breakdown from the combine bits, and probably be doing some more top 10 lists for guys who are coming back to college next year, just to break up the monotony of draft content. So yeah, I'll have plenty planned.
Please do like this episode, sub to the podcast. You guys know what to do to help us out there. So, without further ado, the trade alert siren has gone off for the first time in 2026 for the Detroit Lions. David Montgomery has been dealt to the Houston Texans in return for the interior offensive lineman Juice Scruggs, a 2026 fourth round pick believed to be 126 overall, and a 2027 seventh. Juice Scruggs, a second round pick from 2023. He's played in 37 games for Houston, and he posted a 45 flat PFF grade in this most current season on only 351 snaps. He was effectively benched halfway through the year for poor performance. But boys, Juice Scruggs benched on a really, really poor performing Houston offensive line that really ended their season. But first, before we talk about Juice, just on David, I mean, I know that, and you specifically on our Twitter account, I think yesterday said, we must keep him. It's imperative to do so. The tandem must live because, we're better for it. And the next day, the very next day, even after David says, I don't want out, or he debated saying that he wanted out yesterday from an ESPN report. And then today, he's gone, and apparently to the team of his choosing.
Yeah, we're at that stage now. Trades work in a variety of different facets. You have the initial trade where you get really emotional about it, and then you have the trade in like 2 years' time when it's all played out, when you've used your picks, when you see what happens going down the road from it. At the minute, we're in the more emotional bit. So my takes reflect that here, but it's disappointing to see him go. It's disappointing that we fumbled him last year, and didn't give him more of an input in our offense. Especially, we never use two sets very often. I feel like there's a way we could have done it to get him a bit more involved. Because for me, we win now. We need to get to a Super Bowl now. We need to get deep into the playoffs next year. We need to make a run. And to do that, you've got to be a good team. And as of this morning to now, we are now a weaker football team. That is just a fact. We have draft picks, we have a new backup offensive lineman, but we are not as good a football team as we were today. And initially, when those sort of moves are made, you're always a bit okay, don't know what the overall plan is here. I don't like it. I'm allowed to not like it. And there's a lot of different reasons why. Monty's not just a backup running back here, or he's not the 1B or whatever you want. It's he possesses traits that are very difficult to find in the NFL and are not so easily replaceable. We talk about the consistency of his play. I think this was the first year in the league he'd never got to 1,000 yards in a year, but that wasn't him, that was his usage. He is consistent, and by the same marker, he is incredibly durable. He is very rarely injured. Finding that in the NFL nowadays, especially at the running back position, is like gold dust. And conversely, with him having those traits, the durability and the consistency, it has given us a perfect fall net to use with Jahmyr Gibbs. We've been able to work Jahmyr into the team more, use him a bit more. But at the end of the day, if ever he's a little tired, if ever he needs a rest, we don't have to overwork him because Monty's there to pick up the slack and do the work for us. And in tandem, they've been one of the best pairings in the league for years now, and they have produced one of our best ever running games over a short period of that time. And it's not easy to replace what he brings. It's all right saying we've got a fourth round draft pick. We can just draft a day three guy. We're going to be cheaper. We're going to be younger, etc., etc. But the other part of his game is his pass protection is better than anything we've got on this roster right now. And usually, what rookie running backs are not very good at is pass protection because it's not their job. It's not what they've done. It's not where they are in the pecking order, or they've not done it since their first few years of college. You are trying to replace consistency, durability, pass protection, and also a damn good culture fit. Like he's been here since the early days, since the very beginning. He's helped us build this thing from the ground up, and he's shown the right attitude for here. That's a lot to try and find in a replacement. And right now, as the team is, obviously it's before free agency, it's before the draft. So this is the overreact part, but there's no depth now. We are in a position where we are going to have to spend on a running back if we want to protect Jahmyr Gibbs and his long-term future. Because I don't want Jahmyr Gibbs running the ball 400, 500 times a year because we've got nobody else here. We've not got a power back. We've not got a between the tackles runner. We've not got a pass blocker. Our depth is just barren. It's given us another hole to fill in the draft. Well, we've already got a ton of holes to fill, or in free agency as well. It's just created another problem for this team. Be like if Anzalone leaves. Then we've got to go around finding another coverage linebacker and a guy who can do his job. And the more holes we make, the more difficult it's going to be for us to have a more complete team at the start of next year. And with Scruggs' wage coming onto the bill, we're saving like $2 million. It's like, for the sake of it. And I get it. If he wanted to leave, he wanted to leave. But at some point as well, the team has to be willing to have the balls to say you're not going anywhere. We need to win a Super Bowl and you're going to be part of it, whether you like it or not. And in this individual instance, maybe I'm not against that, but at some point we also have to take the team into consideration rather than just putting the players first all the time. I think he would have been used a lot this year. I think Petzing would have used him a lot this year, utilized the pair of them. I think he would have had a future here, and it's not the worst cap hit at the world either. So overall, I'm just disappointed. I've grown very attached to Monty over the last few years, and for it to end the way it has done is disappointing. Now, obviously, we could go out and slay the draft and free agency and have a good running back room there, but for me, this team is now a lot weaker than it was, and it's not easy to replace what he brought to this team. It's not as easy as just let's just draft a guy on day three and everything's going to be fine. It's not. You've got big ass shoes to fill here. Monty is statistically a top five running back in most categories for running backs for the Lions, and he's done that over a 3-year period. And obviously, so is Jahmyr Gibbs, but yeah, it's just not easy to replace what he brought to this team. So I'm disappointed in the team for doing this, even with the returns there. But in 2 years, I might change my tune.
Yeah, it's been on the cards, and again, not to toot my own horn, but I did say it when the possibility started going up. I did look around the league, and I was like, which team could really use a David Montgomery and would have the capital? And the Texans were the first on that list. So glad that Monty agrees with me. He would fit like a glove in there. You've seen the kind of running backs I've had over the past couple of years. Nick Chubb, even though he's on his last legs. Joe Mixon, those kind of power backs who can grind out the extra yards, which you kind of need with the offensive line they've got. which has got somehow even worse over the past 24 hours with just them sending us Scruggs and then also trading away Titus Howard to the Browns, so they don't have to go replace all their offensive line in free agency. They'll have to go and get 4 starters now rather than the 5. But it made sense, and yeah, I think sometimes we are too nice to the players in inverted commas in so much that if they don't want to be around, we do try and find the best fit for them and try and get them the best. But at the same time, would a disgruntled Monty play to 100%? I'd love to say yes, but obviously it would weigh on his mind, and perhaps he would save himself, shall we say, for free agency, knowing that he's only got 1 big contract left. So it made sense. And with us having potentially a Gibbs extension on the line, it kind of makes it more palatable, I guess, to certain people that, oh yeah, if you're paying a guy to be the best running back in the league, he's got to take the lion's share of the touches, which he did last year. But at the same time, yeah, we do need someone behind him to take the power stuff, to be a change of pace back. Be that somebody in the draft. I know I scouted Hemby when we was in the throes of Monty potentially leaving. He would be that, round in the 4th round pick. So 128 could be used there, if not something later if he's still there. There's some guys in free agency who could do it. Najee Harris, I know he's coming off an injury, but he fits the profile. So does Brian Robinson Jr., who I know got traded to the 49ers last offseason because he was not good enough for Commanders, but he's a good power back. James Conner supposedly might be a cap casualty in Arizona. So, if you want to reunite him to his old OC, who got the best out of him when he was healthy, we can do that, and he'll fit the role as well. There's options there, but I think it was best for all parties involved in terms of we got picks back, especially in an area that perhaps we might need them to fill out the depth. We've got a bit of cap relief, which might be useful to get an extra body in if it's, we can now afford to pay, I don't know, Daniel Thomas to come back and be that special team safety, be safety 5. We can now afford that in theory. And Monty gets to go be a running back one somewhere and potentially ball out for that new final big contract for him and just produce, because you look around and of the players that have left the Lions, not many have gone on to do bigger and better things. You obviously, the big case here, the guy that Monty was signed to replace Jamal Williams, went and got his big contract from the Saints and then scored 1 touchdown. Monty could be the guy to book the trend, and, kind of hope he does, not just to stick one up at us, but also because I just like the Texans and I like Monty. So, if it comes to it that we have to play him in the Super Bowl next year, that'll be a fun matchup to watch.
Many thanks to Dan Pass for subscribing at Tier 1 on Twitch for his 47th month. Dan says, I hope you guys are doing well. It was fun seeing Ash on Talking Grit, talking about burning that 3 a.m. oil. Does the demo moves today suggest that Graham, who is currently streaming right now, might not be on the team next year for us? All the best, Dan. Thanks, Dan. I'll have my say, and then I will come round to your question. I'm going to miss David. I don't agree with Ash in his assertion of describing Monty as a disgruntled player, and I think it actually does him a disservice. Frankly, I think that he could and perhaps should have been a disgruntled player with the amount of usage he had last season. He deserves to be, but he's the consummate professional. And throughout all of this process, he's gone out of his way to say that he's not looking for a trade, that he wants to stay. He's been active in discussions with the coaching staff, the new offensive coordinator that we have, to the point where everyone's like, is he going to stay now because Petsing's here? And that's his sort of guy. I think people describing this as a foregone conclusion are forgetting what happened just 3 weeks ago when we made that offensive coordinator hire and suddenly everything changed and it could be okay again. And it's okay. I mean, I guess things just aren't that transient. What is true is that if we were going to use David the same amount that we used him last year, then he deserves a shot somewhere else. And actually, in some ways, while we may be a worse team today than we were just a few hours ago, we've done right by the player, if that's what this is. We've dealt him to the place he wanted to go, and we've got terrific value for it. And this is everything this team is about. It is not about fucking over the players if it's better for business needs. Like, the reason why we got slightly more capital was because another team came in to try and usurp this deal. Apparently, it was for a 5 plus, so it could have been a 5 and a 7. Someone else came in to offer a little bit more, so Houston came back in with another deal. We, by the looks of it, have waited for David to actually go to the right spot for him. And it's going to end up being a good thing, I think, for us eventually. It does sting, and I'm going to miss him. But I think this is extremely amicable, and I'm kind of just pleased to see us go around doing business like this in a very upstanding way. Like, this is Dan Campbell all over. Like, and Brad, you know, they are good people, and we are demonstrating that. So that's something. To Dan's point, yes, I think Graham won't be here. I think this is the death knell for Graham, in short. And I think you've wanted to jump in there, but I'm not sure.
I was just about to say that's a very good point about Monty. Don't be that person. Don't be that person speaking shit about them on their way out, saying that they're disruptive, they're disgruntled, they're all that. Monty's been nothing but a consummate professional since he came here. If he wants to say things behind the scenes to the staff and register his displeasure at the amount of things there, that's what a professional does. If he's not on Twitter talking shit like AJ Brown or all those Eagles players, and he's not going to the tabloids with leaks and doing stuff like that, you can do this. You know, he has not done anything in regards to warrant. I've seen some accounts saying that he's just whining all the time and good riddance, he's gone. Like, don't be disrespectful to players like that. You know, we've got this goody two shoes locker room, and every time someone leaves, we just turn on them and say, "Oh well, they're not part of it." That's just not true, and nothing is there to suggest that Monty's done anything at all out of the box that would regard an issue with his attitude. And if you're going to say that, then show me proof. If not, you're just talking out your arse, or you're using a source that you're not allowed to talk to anyone about. So don't do that. Just respect Monty for who he was and what he did, and don't slander him on his way out. It's wrong.
In terms of what we do about this and what it means going forward, there's clearly a hole at running back 2. And Gibbs has shown that he suffers without having someone changing it up a little bit, maybe someone softening up a little bit for him. His most, I won't say most productive because it's not true, his most efficient time as a Lion was when we were using David to loosen them up, and then Gibbs to smash on through the hole that Monty created quite early on in their partnership. We went away from that, I think, to the detriment of both. The offensive line detracting had something to do with that. But regardless, Gibbs still needs that guy. He needs a bit of a power back. I don't think that guy exists on the roster. I don't know if you agree. But for me, it seems as though this incoming pick, or 2, could be the draft capital that we need to just go straight in and find a replacement that's going to cost $1.5 million versus the 3.5, 4 that you've saved by cutting him. Yes, we've got juice, but we probably want to keep him on, or we could cut him for nothing because he's a traded asset. So if you don't want him, you don't have to. Do you guys agree? And if so, is there anyone that you're looking at in the draft that you could maybe use that pick or both picks to package together to go and get someone? I know a 2027 7th isn't worth very much in the scheme of things, but
it actually might be, though. In not the one that he released literally just today, where he's discussing the trade, because Riz was very much on it. The one he did with Chris the night before, the big DLP. One of the big things that came out of the combine in terms of the insider stuff is that the teams really, really like next year's draft class, and they are loath to dispense with any picks for next year because they see it as a generational class, though, of course, they say that all the time, blah, blah, blah. So that 7th could turn out to be something. Definitely the 4th, as I said, Roman Hemby's up there, scouting him for a reason. He's definitely one of the guys, but there's quite a few, and Ant's probably going to list them off. For me, the big thing actually in this, and I do caveat this, it might be a hot take on my part. The most interesting piece of the trade for me is Scruggs, because when he played centre for Houston, not this past year, the year before, he was league average, admittedly, 15th out of 30th in terms of PFF grade with all the snaps things, but he fills that hole we looked at offensive line. Now we've got left tackle. The big hole on the offensive line was centre. Scruggs feels that now. It's not suddenly we have to go and spend 20 million on Tyler Linderbaum. We can perhaps bide our time, get the right kind of deal. And if the right player doesn't come up in free agency, you draft a Jake Slaughter, Sam Hecht, Connor Liu, those kind of players. And you suddenly have Scruggs who, well, yes, is not exactly a top 5 centre. He's not going to replace Frank Ragnow 1-for-1. He can fill in long enough that you can develop said centre to have the best offensive line going forward. You don't have to solely force the issue of, right, we need to get centre in and we need to get him in now. We filled that hole, and now we've got some draft capital as well to fill the hole at running back and potentially one other place, or use that 7th to package up the 4th. We could use both to get into the 3rd round or trade up to near the top of the 4th round, where it's basically a 3rd rounder in all intents and purposes. Just gives us that ammo to, fill a hole that potentially before we couldn't.
Yeah, Scruggs could be interesting. And again, he's an example of a player who's been dicked around by the leagues. He's just been moved from place to place to place. And, I remember him when he came out. He was a development project then, even though he was a 2nd rounder. He was a very athletic 2nd rounder. That's why he went so high. First season as a rookie, he gets the job at left guard eventually, plays all the way through to the divisional round, gets deep in the playoffs. Then they move him to centre. Then they start moving into left guard and to right guard, and they start moving him here, there, and everywhere. And for a rookie that's on a shite offensive line with bad coaching, to be moved from place to place to place and never allowed to settle, no wonder the kid's not developing properly. You name me one good youngster they've got on that offensive line there who has really shone. You saw the way that CJ Stroud got marmalized this year. It's not all down to him. With better coaching and settling him at a position, bring him in. He's either going to be your backup centre or you're going to insert him into that left guard fight with Frazier and Mahogany. But pick one and stick with it and coach him and see what you can get out of him and do it right. And if you can, great. You've got a stable left guard who's got experience in the NFL, or you've got good centre depth for the future, which we've not had since Evan Brown. But pick a lane and stick with it, because I'm inclined to believe his performances are not all on him. He's done some good in his time there and played in some big games. So we'll see what Hank can do with him. This is a test of Hank's ability here. 2nd round pick, former, a lot of tools to work with. What can you do with him? Can you rescue him? Because so far we've not done a reclamation project really with Frank. So we'll see.
I'm really interested to see what we do with the pick, because in terms of having a power back, there's lots of people from that pick onwards, or maybe just slightly higher if we did package a pick together. Mike Washington is probably now out of range of that, where he would have been in that before, but he's probably a round 2 pick now, and we'll talk about why in just a second. But I'm looking at people like Katron Allen, Seth McGowan, Adam Randall, especially. And then if you want to just take that 7th, you could go CJ Donaldson. You could believe that Jaden Knott's last 2 years are not representative of him, but the first 2 were. There's a few people of interest in anywhere between the 4th and 7th round, and in particular. Is there any one of those or anyone else that you kind of really like from 110 onwards on wherever you think people were going to be?
Well, that kind of goes into my combine stuff, so I don't know whether you want to do it now or back then or whatever. But
let's hold on and we'll do it at a time, because we can then talk about the Monty replacements. Okay, cool. Let's move. Graham on the roster at the start of the season or no?
See you, bye.
Enjoy your streaming and CS:GO.
Okay. Other pieces of news to get to. Terrion Arnold was named by a judge in an indictment where 5 were arrested for an armed robbery and kidnapping. His lawyer has said that basically he was erroneously named and is nothing to do with it. An odd set of circumstances, boys. I know, and on the Friday Q&A, I think it was, we were kind of talking about this on stream, but coming back to it now, and nothing seems to have changed. I know that a lot of people have kind of shrugged their shoulders and said, when there's something to report, we'll talk about it. This yet isn't news, but just to throw it out there, because I know it's going to be of interest to a lot of people. Ash, worrying, Especially when it came off the back of the defensive coordinator saying he just needs to get his head down, shut up, and get on with it.
Yeah, 100%. Like, I remember the news broke and I was like, so that explains that comment. So at least I think the team knew about it, that this was a possibility, unlike, the Cam Sutton situation. But yeah, it's not exactly great. And it's just another thing for people who are already against TA for various reasons to be even more against him. Obviously, his lawyer says he wasn't involved, erroneously mentioned, etc., etc. We've got to let it play out. If he is involved, then that's not a good look at all. And some of the criticism he's had for being named in that is therefore deserved. You obviously don't want to pile on top of it stuff that isn't deserved, like it's from field play. But yeah, it is concerning. But at the same time, withhold until we get all the information, because right now it's just a he said situation. We don't really know much of the facts, so nothing really to say. Don't want to turn on him like people turned on JMO, for instance, because you know what we all saw what happened with the JMO situation times 3. So use the same kind of sense we used then, hopefully.
Yeah, I am uninformed and I'm not willing to put an opinion on it.
Cool.
I'll wait till we hear more.
All right. Well, the NFLPA report on the Lions, even though I think the agreement they just said that it was going to be kept secret, has been leaked. And I think the Lions come out of this quite well. I'll just go down the grades now, and if anyone sees anything of interest, either you guys or in the chat, give us a shout out. Treatment of families, B+, home game field, B-, food dining area, B, nutritionist dietitian, A-, locker room, A, training room, A-, training staff, B+, weight room, A, strength coaches, A, position coaches, A-, offensive coordinator, C-, defensive coordinator, B, special teams coordinator, A, team travel, B, head coach, A, general manager, A-, team ownership, A. I've taken this from a tweet by Mike Payton. Thank you, Mike. There's a lot of A's on that board. I know that it wasn't the highest board overall, and maybe slightly worrying that the lowest grades in there are both coordinators, which is not ideal. Well, actually, sorry, home game field was actually second lowest, and then defensive coordinator. So, but overall, they seem overwhelmingly positive about the staff, the location, the facilities. Treatment of families and team travel maybe could be slightly better. That seems like a really easy thing to fix. But positive news perhaps for the Lions as a destination for players.
Yeah, definitely. Especially since some of those grades reflect last year. So obviously the big one that is the headline that everyone knows about is obviously last year the locker room didn't score that well. So what did the team go and do? Completely renovate it, and now it's an A. That's the one big standout. Obviously, the negative standout, as you heard when I said lol, shows what the players really thought of John Morton. Just couldn't connect to the team, and that's why one of the reasons he lost his job. The Shep one, I'm not too fussed because I know the reason it seems like middle of the pack, but you actually look at it and that B is decent. Like there's some out there that got like the D's and F's. They did not get good grades at all. So Shep having that B, it's kind of wait and see territory thing. Some of the players, I know some of them will love him, linebacker room for obvious reasons, but some of the other players who, again, not to use the disgruntled tag, but some of them who not been completely happy with how they utilised last year might mark him down for that because like lack of snaps or positions they put in. So it's all explained away. But yeah, some of the stuff it's hard because some teams just go get like the A+s and it's hard to get that grade scale properly done when everything's just so quantitative rather than qualitative. Or the other way around, I can't remember which one's which now. God damn it.
Any thoughts, Sam?
No.
Didn't think so, but I thought I'd ask.
At the risk of ticking off the bingo card of people who know what I'm going to say, I don't really care. Like, it's good. I'm glad the grades are good, but I really don't care beyond that, so... Yeah.
Two more pieces of big but small news. Left tackle Taylor Deck has confirmed he is returning to the Lions for 2026. I think this is somewhat unexpected for a lot of fans, but Decker returns. He was a league average left tackle last season despite the injuries. Here's hoping the off-season, an elongated off-season, by us not getting to the playoffs, helps his recovery. Boys, is this papering over a crack that exists? Is this something that you can rely on for one more season? Is this something you want to still address now? Are you going to push that need into the future because we have so many of them in this draft? There's a lot that weighs on the fact that he has come back and whether you believe in it or not.
It's a tough one, this. I mean, obviously, it's quite a switch from him when he talked about it before, the experience he was having, and that spoke of a man who was done, and and then all of a sudden it's like, yeah, I'm good. And he did it quite early as well, especially because it was just after literally Brad had been asked at the combine. He's like, oh, well, we'll give him as much chance as we need to within reason. And then he says that he's going to do it. I don't know. Is he doing it because he thinks he can, or I'm just calling me a little skeptical with it. Obviously, I'm glad he's back. Even league average left tackle play is like gold dust in this league, and I guess if anything, it does give you a bit more versatility in the draft now. The plan should not change. We don't have a swing tackle. We don't have a good development tackle to take over a spot in years' time. Those are still massive needs for this team. Ideally, you can get someone who can do it. But if you now wanted to, like before, if you're just dealing with tackle prospects and you just want to go down the tackle route, that's fine. You can now go down the route of if you wanted to go after somebody like Caden Proctor and you want to stick him at left guard for a year, play next to Decker and groom him as that next left tackle for the future while he's still here, and then shove him out. You can do that as well. You're not just looking for a guy who can plug and play at tackle start away. So there's kind of different routes you can go through in the draft now to fix the offensive line in the long term. Obviously, I'm not a proponent of that one, by the way. I'm just going to say, but if you want a guy who you can just give a year in the league at guard to learn the ropes and then move him across, I think you could do that now Decker's here. Obviously, if Decker's not here, you need someone to plug and play right away at either one of the spots. And, generally you'd need to find someone who's more pro-ready and available and might be a bit higher. Now, maybe you can take someone a little lower and get them ready. Or you can just get a high-level tackle and whatever. So I think it gives us a little bit more versatility as to what we can do. As for him, I'm just not sure. I would love to be in a situation where we could replace him halfway through next year with a new guy and work him in and then move him into a backup role and then ease him out the team. I'm not comfortable at the thought of needing him for a full season and a playoff run as well, because I just don't know whether his shoulder's going to hold up to it and expose us. So, overall, it's a good thing, right? We, as the Lions, though, have got to manage this right, and we have got to have a good plan B in place. We cannot go in without a plan B this year and just hope Manu's going to be it. That would be gross negligence.
Yeah, and to all the accounts out there that as soon as the news came out will say cut the fucker anyway because we don't because he was contemplating retirement, so he doesn't want to be here anyway. They can fuck off. I did find it funny though, as you say, quite rightly, that it was literally within like half an hour of the ending of the press conference with Brad and Dan at the combine. He puts it out because both of them had that same sort of company line of, well, we're keeping the communication open with him, and he's got he'll start a free agency to tell us, but we need to know by then. And literally half an hour later, it's like, well, yeah, fuck you guys, you're saying this, right? I'm coming back, but yeah, we need it. Doesn't change the calculus for me. It just means that we're not forced into, sound quite right to put it, just getting a pro ready guy. It means we can take someone who is a bit less seasoned but has that higher ceiling now, because at least for the first half of the season you've got Decker there, and then if he has to miss a week after that, you can slide the rookie in and see how he gets on, kind of like what we had to do with Manu against the Bengals, just hopefully not against that caliber of edge rusher, of course. Keeps our options open. It also does mean that we're not beholden to taking just a pure left tackle. It means that if the right kind of right tackle falls to us, Malgoa, Blake Miller, so we'll come on to in a bit, if one of them's there and they're the pick, it means that the option is there, of course. And I know some people don't like the option, but you've got to get your best 5 out there. And if that means next year moving Penne to left tackle, which you played at Oregon, and then sliding in your first round tackle that you've took this year, who is a pure right tackle, I'm okay with that.
For me, I'm going to be brief. I'm delighted he's back. I am pushing the left tackle need to next year. We need to win the Super Bowl this year. Like, I don't feel like a window is closing, but I feel like we're going to do the sort of Billsian thing of kind of trying to be competitive as we do a very minor transition into like the next part of the window. You know, the window isn't closing. It's just being pushed slightly ajar before we push it back open again. This is still going to be a very, very good team. To make the most of that this season, for me, taking a non-ready left tackle slight project who you are going to bring in and play a left tackle next year, the season after next, or someone who'll play at left guard and push over to left tackle, is a total waste. Like, it may be the best thing for the next 10 years, but it could be the also that we lose the Super Bowl on, and this is something that I've kind of come around to big time with Ant talking about the fact that actually you need to make hay while the sun shines. Well, this might be the last time we can do this in this window, because if Decker plays this year, he probably does not play next, and then you do have to reset. But, okay, I might take, and he's probably not going to be available there now because of the Combine, but let's say you could take Monroe Freeling. And I was a big proponent of that in our tackle show. Well, that's because I thought Decker was going, and actually I quite like Monroe Freeling, but there is a prevailing thought that he's not pro-ready. Okay, he sits for a year, then we play him. And it's like, okay, but you could take insert Edge's name here at 17 to bookend with Hutchinson. They could wreck shit. We could have a really, really good defense. And I get that that is built on hopes and prayers of Decker being able to play a season, and maybe he doesn't play the entire season. Maybe you do have to sub in someone for him for a game or two. But if he's proven nothing in his career, it's that he will play through the immense pain, still be league average, and there's no certainty that it will be that bad this year. Like, it feels like it might be, but we're only considering downside risk. The upside risk is that he's significantly freer of injury next year than he was last year. Not that he'll be without it, because I think he's probably going to be in pain for the rest of his life. But it might be better for him next year. So I'm going to put all of my hopes and dreams on that in the search of trying to get all the value I can extract and squeeze the juice from this lemon for this coming season. And if it doesn't work, we move. There's always another season, but there ain't another 2026.
True. But the good news is, and I'm probably stealing that point here, is the good news you can take that edge in the first round and then swing back round in the second round, and there'll still be guys there. Gallatin and Max I from Arizona State, a couple of other guys who obviously be risers that maybe in that range. It opens that door possibility because I know people have been debating it for a while. It just makes that more palatable to more people now. And like, oh yeah, you've already got Decker here, so tackle falls down to the second round and you can get that bookend edge now. So either, I think there's no way going wrong, even if it is, yeah, you try and bank on next year's tackle class and just ride out with Decker. But then, yeah, you're looking at the low side.
This 2024 class is really biting us in the ass right now. Like, these are problems that we should have solved by now because of that. The fact that no one's mentioning Varkey at all in that running back room or Manu as a replacement tackle, that's what those guys were for. So, yeah, that class is going to bite us for a long time, man.
Yeah. Right, last piece of news, and it's jawohl and wunderbar für die Deutsche Fans, because the Lions are going to Germany. The commission accrediting the St. Brown family for the rise of the sport in Germany in particular. The Lions will go to Germany. It's rumoured to be against the Giants, but that's not been revealed, has it yet, boys? I don't think so. Good, I'm right on that. I have got a couple of hotels booked on different weekends, just in case. Are you guys going? And I'm sure there's a lot of people listening who are diehard fans who want to go.
I'm going to try my damn best. If I get a ticket, I'm going to do the riskier option, I think, of get a flight in the morning, watch the game, get an overnight flight back. Probably because also booking it off work are horrible with booking holidays. So that's the best option. But, you know, if I get a bit of money saved up, maybe I can do a couple of days, especially if certain English football teams mix the Champions League and we have to play Bayern Munich yet again, then at least I can try and package it together if they're close. Like, go and watch that, and then stay in the hotel, hang out a bit, watch the Lions.
Oh, you think working on the trains they give you like discounts on like Eurostar and shit like that? I know it's different companies, but you all work together. You all work together. They should give you some of there. That's shit. But, yeah. I'm praying I'm going to be there. I hope so. If I have to swim, I'll swim. Whatever. We'll get there by hook or by crook.
Yeah,
the channel can be swum, so.
We hope to see you all there. I've already seen a lot of people say that they are going to be going. Like I said, we're going to try our damnedest to get a ticket, but if not, I will pay through the nose to do it. You know, I've never... Oh, actually, I went to Germany when I was 15 for 2 weeks, and I haven't been back. And I've always wanted to go to Munich. So why not make a weekend of it? Spend it in the company of some fantastic people.
If you're coming over for a long time, Americans, then make sure you spend some time in Hamburg as well. You'll love it up there.
That's where I went when I was 15. It's gorgeous.
Hamburg's student city, so like it's ridiculously cheap there to drink and get wasted compared to everywhere else. It is also very cultural as well, but you know, priorities and whatnot.
The very kind of bluey green roof of the town hall, the rat house, is very iconic.
That Leipzig, Cologne, obviously, where Amaron's got a lot of big connections. Expect stuff happening in that city the week before as well. I'm sure they're going to go full out for this.
Actually, I tell a lie. I have been back to Germany before, but it's just a place I'd rather forget because it's just drab. It's really, really like ugh. I don't know if there's any places in Germany you can think of that fit that description.
Bremen?
No.
Bremen's not the greatest.
It's the financial centre of the country, and there's not a lot going on. And it also has a very uninspiring red light district. which
insinuates that you went and checked it out.
So I went with work, and a girl who said she knew where she was going walked.
You're making sure Sarah's not watching this, yeah.
She knows about it. We walked the length of the red light district, and it was just drab. Carlton Wood has it in one in the YouTube chat. Frankfurt, it's not great. Don't go there. Anyway. I'm not on the tourism board, is all I'll say. Right, okay, let's get on to the reason why we are here, which is the NFL Combine. First, I want to highlight the excellent article that has been written for us by Poole Walker. I've linked it in the YouTube live chat now, so if anyone wants to have a read, takes you about 5 minutes or so. There's some really good bits and pieces in there of 10 winners, as far as Paul sees it, from the NFL Scouting Combine. Let's go position by position, fellas. I know, Ash, that you haven't watched a huge amount of the athletic testing. I have watched about half of it, so I have some strong takes on a good amount of it and then not a lot on the rest of it. So if there are some gaps in the knowledge, just know we do work too. And we may be relying on you, and even then, you may not have watched it all either, because I know that there are just better things to do than watching the pajama party. That is. But anyway,
I actually did watch. I actually watched it all this year for the first time. Usually I'm full of work in that because I'm not at the minute. I had a chance to watch it all, even though I don't really. Even though people know it's not my. It accounts for very little of my scouting thing, but I watched the most of it.
I do think the on-field drills tell you something. I think the athletic testing is close to useless, but the actual on-field stuff, the what's it called, the ones that the skill position players do, where they run the gauntlet and they have to catch all those balls while running, I think that actually does say something.
It varies position by position. I will say that this draft has actually locked me in on, because I have players I like, and then there's some things I just need a little bit of clarity over them. And the combine can give you a little bit of clarity on some things. And there was one who was just like, yeah, yeah, I'm not even thinking twice now. But it was it was fun overall. But the combine's struggling for a future now. Record number of players not participating, record number of lows in a lot of events. Their record number of lows, just not people not doing drills altogether, just there to do measurements, and that was it. Record number of NFL teams not turning up. It's showing a downturn in what it's all about, which goes back to the argument of they're just inviting too many kids who don't want to be there or don't deserve to be there. It was a shame. There's a lot of Group of Five and SCS talent sat at home this weekend who would have killed for these spots, and to see so many not do things was very disappointing. I think they need to be more stringent going forward. If you go, you've got to do X amount of stuff while you're there, otherwise you don't go. So it was disappointing from that point of view, but there was a lot of good testing as well, so we'll be happy today.
We're going to go position by position to just break it down. Obviously, as Ant says, what matters in each position is different. So in some ways there might be stuff where we go, nothing of value here, or, what have you. So this may look a little different, but let's go and start at quarterback, as is customary. And I think it suffices to say, guys, that maybe the quarterbacks is the least affected position by the combine in some ways. But since the name of this show is Who Impressed or Depressed, are there any players who you've come away feeling good or less good about out of the quarterbacks?
See, in normal years, that will be true that it doesn't matter for them. This year, there ain't no QB2. There ain't no QB3. I think this mattered a lot this year because I think a lot of the guys who could prove certain things here would supplant the guys like Nussmeier and Aller and Klubnik at the top. For me, this belonged to one quarterback all weekend in terms of how he did, and that's Cole Payton, the NDSU quarterback. When we were talking about it last week, when I was talking about it with Rye, Ty Simpson and Cole Payton are in the fight to be that QB2. I don't give a fuck about the rest of them. They're not worth a damn when it comes to what they're getting picked at. But when it comes to FCS players, the combine does matter for me because it tells you certain things that you need to know about them to complete their evaluation out. Cole Payton, he's a national champion. He has a wonderful body of work in college football. He's been part of a dynasty. He's a dual threat quarterback. There is nothing left that he could have done on the field that was any more so to boost his draft stock than what he did in college. When it comes to the combine and when it comes to scouting, a lot of what the SCS guys, Group of Five goes, come up against is what are they like athletically? Can they hang at a different tier of athleticism than they are used to them from where they're at? And a lot of the FCS prospects do well, are being outstanding athletes. Could he be that? First, his sizes are perfect. 6'3", 232. Absolutely perfect for what you want him to be there. But then he comes out and does his athletic testing. I think he ended up, and again, I don't give a fuck about Raz, but I think he ended up with like a 9.95 or something like that. A 4.56.40, which is really rapid for a quarterback. A 40-inch vert, which is like third all time amongst QBs. A 10-10 broad, which was second. A 7-12 three-cone, which was second. Like, athletically, he blew testing out the water. That's big for him. It's big for selling him as a dual threat quarterback as well, which is what he is. If you want to, at the next level, utilize your skill set that you've done in college, you need to show you're athletic. So therefore, the dual threat ability is real, and that's what he's capable of. He's a lefty as well. Don't get too many lefties, which is a nod to him. But then all these quarterbacks have to have something that the others don't. They have to have that little secret weapon in their arsenal, which other guys don't, which separate them. And for me, Cole Payton, he has the best deep ball of pretty much anybody in this draft class. That's what he specializes in. When you're at North Dakota State, you're in a run-heavy system, or generally what you like to do is you take a lot of big shots downfield when the run game opens it up. You've got to have a good deep ball, hence why wide receiver after wide receiver after wide receivers come out of that program into the NFL. His deep ball throwing in drills was sensational. Like, he was dropping them dot, 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 dot. And yes, He's not under pressure, all that sort of stuff, but it's only what you can show whilst you're there. He was throwing the best spiral downfield on the deep balls. They were landing right in the breadbasket. That is his difference maker. So he went there. He showed he was athletically, very, very much capable of moving up to the NFL. He showed his primary weapon off, and he's, shown it in college. He's shown all his tape there. So for me, he made a massive impression, and I would be shocked if he didn't go on day 2 now, and someone's going to look at that, take a look at him, and invest in that. The only question is, can he deal with such a talent rise, what he's going to be up against? That's always the ultimate question, but he's answered every question you wanted about him. Those little bits in the evaluation you weren't sure about, answered. I thought he was absolutely tremendous.
Ash, any thoughts?
Yeah, that's fair. I know who's obviously, we also get the added bonus of us as being the only QB that we know had a formal interview with us at the Combine as well. The good thing is, even if it doesn't work out for him at QB, he still has the sort of frame and the athleticism to make a transition like many other QBs have before to wide receiver or tight end. I know some places have him compared to Tim Tebow, who I know obviously it's not the greatest QB comparison in the world in terms of your prospects in the league.
Oh, I definitely see it though. The way he throws is not dissimilar to Tebow. And I've not heard that comparison before, but it's just because I've probably got my head in the ground. But that's very apt.
Completely stealing it off Eric's article about the QBs earlier because he mentioned it. The broadcast supposedly said it. But I like it. And if I know obviously Ant just said he's pushing for QB2, but if for some reason the teams around the league do pass him and he starts falling into day 3, I know the likelihood is more high that we don't draft a QB than we do. But if we do choose to draft one as that sort of developmental prospect that Hendon was supposed to be, have another go at that just to see if we can get that, all-star weapon that suppose you need around the league, even though it's getting proven wrong. That little game-breaking QB on a cheap contract. He's got the tools to do it, to see if we can put it together. So I don't hate it.
Yeah, it was a 9.97 RAS, as Ant has rightly said, for Cole Payton. Just to go through some of the other guys. Oh, Cole Payton, sorry, by the way. His 10-yard split was 1.55. That would have put him joint third in the running backs.
Yeah, he's rapid. Like, again,
he doesn't need to have the home run speed, and he does have it. But the short area quickness is what you want the quarterback scramble for. He's got it,
and that's why he's done so well. He's shown the dual threat ability. Haynes King did similar. Like Haynes King's a dual threat. He athletically tested very well as well. So obviously his arm isn't as good, which is where he came down. But like that was the big thing. Peyton has to. That's the big thing. All FCS prospects have to answer is: are you athletically good enough to hang with these guys at a higher level? And his is absolutely yes.
For the other guys in this quarterback class, I would say, so Taylor Green had a 9.99 RAS. He, blew the lid off the athletic testing. Unfortunately, his arm was terrible. Like, he couldn't hit a barn door. It was really just painful to watch. And it's everything I've seen on tape from him. So that actually solidified that for me, he's maybe not the guy. I've just seen someone in the chat say move him to tight end. I do think some people are going to be asking him to move position because I don't think he's got it in his arm. In the easiest thing, you were just saying about like Cole Payton dropping it in the breadbasket because there's no pressure and, you can't take that too seriously. But Haynes King, Joe Fayano, I can't say that name, Luke Altmaier, Carson Beck, all really struggled to throw the ball, which, last I checked, was the job of the quarterback. The only person who didn't struggle, apart from Cole Payton, was Drew Aller. But what does that mean for him, really? I don't think a lot, but Aller looks better than all of those other guys.
But he's no good under pressure, which is his problem. And exactly. He's really inconsistent. So what I will say is Taylor Green, aside from setting combine records in 2 different things, he is a winner for me. Again, the inconsistency is what is just annoying us with him. Yeah. He has it to be a quarterback. If the right team finds him, the right team can do something good with him. But what he's shown with his athletic ability, and he made himself more draftable, is, as someone has said, you could potentially move him around. You can use him at running back. You can use him as an inline tight end. You can use him in a variety of different ways. Because, I mean, when you could jump a 44 vert as a receiver, that's pretty damn good. And you've got ability there. But he's given himself more of a route into the NFL. He's not just quarterback only.
Yeah.
Which is what someone like Drew Aller and Kate Klubnik and stuff are. And when they're inconsistent, that's not really going to get you in. But someone will part with a draft pick for that athletic ability alone. I would just hope he finds a good QB coach. If his mechanics can be sorted, I think he's a starter in the NFL. But he's just going to find the right team, find the right coach.
Yeah, the two best fits for me, I think I can see, are probably Denver and Buffalo. It depends on how the head coach goes in Buffalo, but in some ways, I can kind of see the way that he would learn from Josh Allen would be very, very complimentary to him. Don't know. Anyway, just some thoughts into the ether.
Baltimore to learn as Lamar.
Yeah, I'd like that, to be fair. I think he'd do well there. And they developed Ty Huntley very well.
Is that
more
Pro
of a
Bowl
consistent
quarterback Ty
thrower,
Huntley?
So
Yeah.
oh, don't be that guy. Don't be that guy. But they've shown they can develop. They've shown that they can develop their backups into good starters, and I mean, Taylor Green's got far more upside than Huntley does in terms of his athletic ability and what he can do and where he can line up. So I think Baltimore would love a chess piece like him.
All right, let's move it on to the next position, which is the running backs, one that I haven't seen a huge amount of, unfortunately. So I might have to throw it over quite quickly to you guys. I know that especially the standout name from this class has been Mike Washington, and he's been a big riser through the pre-draft process. Someone who I keep hearing people saw on tape how good he was, but for some reason had doubts about whether it would actually translate, whether the short area quickness that he showed was actually fast, or whether he was just I don't know, somehow moving in slow motion. But he kind of backed up everything that optimists thought about him, and maybe have made doubters into believers in terms of what they've seen on tape is actually for real. Other than that, I'm kind of struggling a little bit. I did see Roman Hemby, and I thought that he looked pretty good, pretty smooth. The running back drills kind of turn me off a little bit. I struggle to take something from it personally when I'm watching the on-field drills for the running back specifically. So, Ash, and I'm going to go to Ant first every time because I know that you haven't watched a huge amount of the athletic testing. Ant, are there any running backs that you thought did particularly well or not?
Yeah, this was a weekend for the big berthers, the big 6'2", 220, 230 pounders, the traditional sort of what we're looking for. This was a really good week for them, as you mentioned. White Washington Jr. a 433.40 at 223 pounds. How the you meant to stop that when you've got him barreling in your direction? 39-inch vert, 10-8 broad. That was second, both times second. So you've got the explosion, you've got the speed. He showed good hands when he did the pass catching, and his movement drills were really good. And people forget he's only had 1 year in the Power 5. So, it's not like he's been at Arkansas his entire career and been middling. He's gone there in 1 year and performed. He's worked his way up the hard way through the system, again, adapted everywhere he's been. It feels like now he's getting to show who he really is. He's going to be a high day 2 pick now. You're talking 49 if you want, 50 if you want him now. Because there ain't no way he's going to be there at 118. He's just going to be gone. But he looked absolutely tremendous, and I think he's taken running back 2 potentially in this draft now, because Shadarian Price was meh. He didn't do himself any favors, and Emmett Johnson was awful. Considering he had one of the best seasons in college football, he was absolutely awful and knocked himself out that consideration. So I honestly think Mike Washington Jr. could be running back 2 now with how he did. However, there was one other for me. I am sold now. Any issues I had with him are gone and I'm spending 118 or 128 on him. Hell, I'm moving up a little bit if I want for him now. Seth McGowan, I am fully sold on now. He is another in Monty's image who's going to do you real good work through the tackles, who is going to get those hard yards, who's going to take a considerable load because he showed his ability. And I've talked about it many, many, many times. He is not a Kentucky standard level player. He's better than that. He's had to work his way the hard way, red flags, all that sort of stuff. But for someone his size, he ran a sub 4.5. That was big because, for me, he is like Monty in that he doesn't have breakneck speed to get away, but he's got good speed. But that showed me that he can be, that he's got more speed than we thought he did. His 42.5-inch vert, best of all running backs by 3.5 inches, 10-11 broad, best by 3 inches to any other running back. The explosion that he has matches with the speed. And then you just watch the drills. His cuts were filthy. Like him in the drills going round the cones, those feet were smoother than butter and the cuts were crisp. He hit them at speed and on a weekend where it was like Disney on ice for some players where they're slipping, sliding here, there and everywhere. He was immaculate. And that is what I mean when I like him so much, is when he hits that gap between the tackles, gets to the second level, like he can take a linebacker one-on-one, juke him, linebacker won't even touch him. And you saw in those drills that's what he's capable of. So for me, I am 100% completely sold on him now. He's going to go a lot higher, probably early day 3. I'm glad we've got those 2 picks now because I'd invest in him there, then and there, if I could, with everything he did. Those were the big 2. And then the other one I wanted to mention, Eli Heidenreich, I thought had a damn good game. When we discussed the offensive options at the combine, me and Ryan said, the one advantage he's going to have over all the other running backs there because of what he does when he's at Navy. I know he's technically a receiver, but he's a running back as well. His receiving ability is going to make him stand out from the running backs there because he acts as a full-time wide receiver, but he plays in a system that requires him to block and to run the ball like all the other running backs have to do as well. His issue was, what was he going to test like athletically? A 440, 440. Perfect, 35.5 vert, 10-foot broad, all top 6 categories amongst running backs whilst you're there. And then he showed them all up in receiver drills. His ability to catch the ball out the backfield, the feet after the catch is really good. And to be fair, in the running back drills, outside of one slip where he absolutely decked it, which was quite funny, he was perfect. Again, the feet were really good. The cuts were good. It looked smooth, solid. He's got that versatility that the rest of the running backs in the class don't have, and that's what he needs to sell at the next level to get himself drafted high. He did that, and he showed his athletic ability was good as well. So, again, for the bigger guys, those 3 I thought were absolute standouts there. Obviously, Jeremiah Love is Jeremiah Love. He's fantastic. He's a freak. A potential Hall of Famer. He's that damn good, but I would have give love to guys outside of him. But those were the 3 I really liked.
Ash?
Yeah, well, I'm going the opposite way. The one guy that I've noticed, and perhaps it's because I've just got a slight type with this. Yet again, it's another ACC back who ran absolutely fast this year's by Short Tooten, and that's Desmond Claiborne, the Wake Forest back, 5'10", 188, 4.37 40-yard dash, and again, borrowing completely from Eric's analysis here, looks pretty good on the on-field drills. I know he's not the kind of back that we're looking at specifically, but he's the kind of guy that I can see going to a Shanahan scheme team, Vikings, and absolutely blowing it up for them, just being great for them because he just fits that style to a T.
Let's move on to wide receivers, and this is a bunch that I really haven't seen at all, so I need to defer again to Ant, but just to kind of have some of the high-level takeaways from this. I saw the Casey Conception gauntlet, which is a thing of beauty, and he came out about his interview where he's got a stammer, and apparently he was attracting some negative attention, and he clapped back saying, basically, the fuck are you doing to people, which I thought was fantastic. in the same way that we're going to talk about unsurprising short arms, Carnell Tate didn't run fast, which everyone knew was going to happen, and yet apparently it became a news story. Whatever. Other guys, I think, performed quite well. I think Vinny Anthony is meant to have had a good day. Bryce Lance did everything I thought Bryce Lance was going to do. I still take him in every mock because I want that guy. And then I think Dion Burks is meant to have had a good day too, but I am really flailing wildly here. Ant, so you're going to have to help me out.
Yeah, the receiver groups were intriguing. I'm not really interested in them at the top because we're not in conversation really for any of these guys. That's conversations for top 10 teams to have. But again, there were a lot of people who were standing out for me. Guys who I've rode and die with. Skylar Bell had a fantastic day, and I'm sick and tired of him not being considered a top prospect in this draft just because he's from UConn, just because he's a little bit older. So the big knock that was on him, and I've seen everyone, it goes, oh, he's got average play speed. He's not got the explosiveness at the next level to do it. He ran a 4.4 and he had a 41-inch vert. Fuck you, anyone who says he can't move. That just kind of destroyed the narrative that his play speed is not going to be good enough for the NFL. And you talk about gauntlets, his gauntlets were fantastic. There was a drop in there somewhere. It was thrown a little behind him, but it was so crisp and smooth and fluid, and he just looked like a complete natural. And again, people sort of knock on that he gets a lot of screens thrown to him at UConn. They want to get the ball in his hands, so there's some manufactured touches there. But you see by the way he moves and the routes he was demonstrating, he has it in his locker. It's just, UConn want to get the ball in his hand. After the catch, he's fantastic. And again, his measurements came in really good for that. So, for me, Skylar Bell, he's rocketed his stock into day 2. He probably should have been there anyhow, but he's going to be a great possession receiver for someone in the NFL. A lot of quarterbacks are going to be asking their teams to go and get him. The other major one who stood out potentially for something we would like a little later on, and this is not just because he scored high on his RAS again. I don't care about RAS, but Jeff Caldwell was amazing. Like he's sick, and he's one of those rare examples of a player whose college undersold his size. He came in at 6'5", and he's about 6'5", 213 pounds. And then just listen to the athletic testing. A 4.31.40, which is 99th percentile, a 1.48 10-yard split, which is 97th percentile, 42-inch vert, while he's already 6'5", which is 97th percentile, 11'2" broad, 98th percentile. And then, because this is a kid, he was down at Lindenwood most of his career. He was playing Division 2 ball. He's only had a year in Power 5, hence why not so many people know his name. It's very difficult for these guys to come up and show what they can do in 1 year in college football. And I must admit, I probably overlooked him a bit, but I've gone back and watched more, and the tape just backs it up. His hands are solid. You didn't see him barely drop a thing. And they said the numbers he was putting up, they're like better than Julio Jones. And it's like, me, this guy's actually really good, and he's kind of been hidden by the level he's played at. Now again, you're making a big jump up to the next level, but probably, I don't know if the RAS will knock him into day 2, but if he's there on day 3, Lions do need a bigger receiver on the outside, and we've got some more picks there now. So, you want to add a weapon like that to your arsenal. I mean, just think how good on the perimeter that is. He's 6'5" and convert 42. Like, you can put that ball up there. He's going to beat a lot of DBs to it. He's become fascinating to me on the back end of this. Those were two who really stood out for me.
Ash, anyone for you?
Yeah, again, going to my biases, but this is someone that I can maybe see replacing Khalif for us because we do need a returner. And I'm going to Georgia Tech, 5'10", 196 pounds. Eric Rivers, like, dude, of the technicals he didn't do all of them. I think he skipped out like the free cone and the bench press and that, but the ones he did do, 4.36 40-yard dash, 37-inch vertical, 10'7" broad jump, and then he was one of the few that actually did the on-field drills as well. And again, borrowing from Eric's analysis here, impressed pretty well. Like one of the best of the day according to Eric. And That's what you want. So he's someone that, yeah, for us will probably fit in as that backup slot, special teamer kind of guy. But at the same time, kind of like Khalif, when he's called upon in action, you've seen it at Georgia Tech, and potentially you can see it in the NFL now. He's reliable. He does what you want him to do, and he does it with no fuss.
Let's move on to the tight ends, and this is a group that really showed out. They didn't shy away from the athletic testing, at least at the top end, in a really, really big way. And you start off by talking about Kenyon Sadiq. I mean, he blew the top off it. You know, you can already see on tape exactly who he is. But I didn't really realise how much of a freak we are dealing with here in Kenyon Sadiq. But if anything, his performance was slightly overshadowed by Eli Stowers, who had one of the most remarkable combine performances of all time. Maybe. I think he's up there. 6'3" and 3/4, 239, 79 3/4 wingspan. And then in terms of the athletic testing, 4.51 40 yards, 40-yard dash, 1.59 10-yard split, 45.5 vert, 11.3 broad. So very slightly
that was the
slower
best broad
than
jump
Sadiq,
ever recorded at a combine.
Yeah.
No one's ever jumped further than that in the broad before, and his vert was the best ever as well.
Yeah.
By a tight end.
Outstanding. And then Sam Roush as well also had an exceptional day. The one standout for maybe people who are looking out for something to be slightly down on is Oscar Delp, because I think that the medical testing showed that he had some sort of fracture or sort of broken bone or something. He had to get surgery instead of testing. So that's going to be a worry for him, especially as he was going to be a fringe round 2 pick, and now, you know, he could fall a little bit there. And what did you see from the tight ends?
Like you said, it was good. Stowers is the big one. I mean, we knew Kenyon Sadiq was going to be good. I mean, Kenyon Sadiq was even better than advertised. Like, people who think he's going to fall to the end of the first round, I think, are sadly mistaken. I mean, he did the best ever 40 by a tight end in recorded history for the combine. What was it, 4.39? Like, your tight ends are not meant to run sub 4.4s. Like, they're just not meant to do that, but he's still built like one. But Stowers is the big one. You know, he is a large human being. Eli Stowers is 6'5". He measured in taller than he was meant to be. And you're verting nearly 46 inches. Your ability, your catch radius is absolutely huge when you're throwing in his direction. And let's not forget, he's been a full-time tight end for the last 2.5 seasons. That's it. He started college as a quarterback. Hell, you know, Pavia was his backup once upon a time and took his job off him, but, you know, just his skill set is so rare and unique. He is a Taysom Hill clone in terms of what he can do, and it's the only time you could ever say that about anybody. He can throw the ball really good. He's a decent quarterback, but his athletic ability now at that tight end spot, as well as the fact he's worked in incredibly run-heavy systems, back when they were at New Mexico State, blocking for Pavia all the time, again and again and again. The blocking still needs work with him, but it's something he's done a lot of, and he's going to get better at. And you now have the opportunity to make him a primo target in the NFL. There's just not a lot of tight ends built like he is. So, you know, I know maybe the first round stuff was a bit funny with him, but he'd started to fall off the boil. He's just reminded people what he is now. And he's also really smart. You listen to him. I love listening to him talk. Like at the combine, he was talking about Antonio Gates and how he bases his game off him and stuff. He's just very in there trying to, you know, he's going to fit in a clubhouse somewhere and do really well. He will go fringe first, I reckon, at this point. Someone will love that ability. So yeah, Eli Stowers was the standout. Like you said, Sam Roush was good as well. He's 265. He shouldn't be posting, you know, 94th percentile broad jumps and 80 plus percentile 40s, which he was. Like, yeah, I think they said there's only 2 tight ends who've ever been 260 plus who've kind of run at the speed that he has and made it in the NFL, because you just can't at that speed do all that. So he's in rare company. Obviously, for me, in terms of a player, he's got a lot of deficiencies in every facet of his game he's got to work on, but you're not going to find a more athletic 265-pound tight end. So you turn him into a blocker with that receiving upside at that size, he's going to be gold as well. So like you said, it was those three who really did numbers here. The rest behind are here, there, and everywhere. I'm not too fussed. Tanner was a bit slow, which I was disappointed with because that's his knock. He got his play speed is not the greatest, and his 40 wasn't good. His catching was, but I was a little disappointed with him. Who knows? It may have pushed him back into our territory to go get him there. But yeah, Eli's the big one for me. Loved him.
Just on Sadiq, his 10-yard split. I mentioned Cole Payton's 10-yard split would have been third among running backs. Sadiq's was faster by 1/100th of a second. He would have been the third fastest running back. He's a fucking tight end. Like, how is that real? Ash, any thoughts on the tight ends?
Well, my guy has been taken, and I was going to talk about Tanner because I know obviously the 4.7 isn't the best, but and I know we're not. Raz is one aspect of it, but he actually posted a better Raz than Sadiq and Styles. Like all these guys, he actually had out of the class that did other stuff the fourth best Raz behind Hibner of SMU, John Michael Gillenborg of Wyoming, and Sam Roush of Stanford, who posted the best, obviously 9.94. And again, borrowing most of America, though I did see some of the blocking drills is one I tried to watch. He looks pretty damn good in the blocking drills as well. So someone that, while exactly not blowing everyone away with athletic price, did enough to keep himself in the conversation that the right picks at a team will fall in love with him, hopefully us. And he showed enough that, he didn't exactly sell himself short in the day. He just kind of stayed where he was or slightly improved his stock compared to others. So like there was a guy, Martin Klein, the Michigan tight end, who I know obviously loads of people focus in on, better 40-yard dash, but when it came to the blocking drill, just completely lost it. Just lost his thing and pretty much went off, and that was his big calling card, and it just failed. So while Tanner stayed level, some of the guys actually really hurt their stock.
All right. The last group of the offense is in a group, the offensive line. And I must say I don't like having the offensive line being grouped into one, but there we go. We move. This is one that I did watch a bit of, but not a huge amount of. Again, my thing was really kind of edge players, secondary players, really. There's been a lot of chat about this group, about all of the tackles kicking inside pretty much to a man. I don't think that the measurements have entirely helped that discussion. And in fact, you have people like, was it Spencer Farno who was doing drills at centre?
Centre, after the stuff, yeah.
What? But, he's got 9-inch hands, 32 and 1/8 inch arms. The wingspan's not too bad at 80 and a quarter, but that is something that is going to be a theme throughout all of this. Monroe Freeling had maybe one of the best tackle combine performances in recent memory, which is excellent considering I said he looked bloody athletic on tape. Maybe the technique still needs a bit of work. I think that otherwise, going outside of tackles, it was a pretty good day all told for the interior of the offensive line in terms of how they tested. Even people like Jennings Dunker, who I think Ant has described as some sort of like dump truck who barely moves out there, had one of the better shuttles out there, which for someone who doesn't move particularly well is quite encouraging for him and his stock. I think that maybe I've been very down on him and what he can do because of, and he posted better scores than perhaps you see on tape. But otherwise, you have a look at the centres in this draft in Jones and Slaughter and Brailsford. They all posted really good numbers. So You know, people talking about Slaughter like, oh, maybe he's going to be the first centre gone, and then Jones has a good day, or maybe he'll be the first centre. Like, you know, it feels like one of those where you could find a bit of something for everyone in this combine and for the entirety of the offensive line.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the tackles were the intriguing one because there's so much, uncertainty over them as to what they're at. Obviously, it belonged to a couple of guys. The first one I want to shout out, I'm getting scared by Maxi Iheanacho and his rise and his seeming inability to do anything wrong whatsoever. I mean, first you get the measurements out, which are just out of this world for him. 6'6", 321. His wingspan is over 83 inches. Like, he's just got the frame. He has it. And then he goes and runs a 491 in his 40, just showing his freakish athletic ability to go with it. Like, I get it. He's raw, and there's a lot of development to be had there, but it's scary how quickly he is developed and how quickly he is picking this game up. And for all the worries you'll have about the raw nature of him, like, you've got to see them billion green flags that's just saying, look, this guy's trajectory is going up, and there seems to be nothing that's stopping him at this moment in time. And in an uncertain class where some of the guys towards the back end of the first didn't necessarily do so well, like, he's putting himself in those conversations now. The Lions are interested. Only us and the Eagles spoke to him at depth there that we know of so far. Obviously, we know the Eagles are pretty good when it comes to figuring out their offensive tackle prospects. Some of the better teams in the NFL for finding these guys are really intrigued in him, and there's a reason why. But Maxi Iheanacho is fascinating as anything, and he's even got to the point where I'm thinking about it now, depending on wherever you're at and if you trade him back and stuff like that. But I mean, he was tremendous, and then Spencer was great as well. And Spencer has now, with his shorter arms, been pushed down into territory to be drafted by us. I don't get the hate round him. Yes, the arms are a little short. I mean, we should call it the T-Rex combine this year because it seems like there's a lot of short-armed linemen, more so than usual there this year. But I mean, come on, you can't be watching Spencer Farner run around that field as an athlete and go, "Oh my God!" Like, he's as good as what Sewell was when Sewell was doing his combine stuff. The way he can move, the way he can dominate. I'm not saying he's as advanced as Saul was. Very few tackles are by that point, but you just look and you just smile and you're like, yeah, I could absolutely see him on this team. And you see the way the Utah side plays. He has to do a lot of that second level stuff. He has to move all over the place, and he has that athletic ability to do so. He would fit us like a glove, as Ace Ventura would say. But obviously, those two were tremendous. But I mean, it was your guy Munro who did all the talking at this one, wasn't it, in terms of getting into the top 10?
So I don't think he should get drafted that high. I think that
I do. It pushes Spencer down to us. The more tackles that go above Spencer, the closer he drops to where we're at.
There's no way that Spencer should go lower than Freeling, and you just have to watch the tape to make that determination. Maybe Freeland's ceiling is higher, and I did try and make that case. But even then, okay, fine, he might be better in 4 or 5 years' time, but you've still got to go through the first 4 or 5 years where he's not going to be the best of those two. So, yeah, and you're going to have to pay him before he really becomes what he can be. Anyway, yeah. Ash, any thoughts?
Yeah, one guy that stood out, and we've discussed number 3 on the RAS. We've just discussed number 1 on the RAS. Let's discuss number 2 on the RAS scores from this. Blake Miller from Clemson. When I saw his testing numbers, even I was shocked. I was obviously the guy that watched him for us, and I was like, I didn't really see too much of that on tape, but it kind of makes sense in a way. So he posted, what was it? 175 10-yard split. Disregard the 40, obviously, if I could tell him it's just about the 10-yard split. That's 0.02 seconds slower than Iheanacho, who is seen as like the big athletic guy that Caden Proctor is supposed to be. So I said, you kind of saw it in Miller, but obviously with the catch blocking that he kept having to do, Doomby gets into shrug, it's too much. But then, according to Eric, because I didn't get to see too much of the on-field drills. The pass protection was pretty much perfect. The natural pulling skills was there, something I did see a bit in there. And the timing of the power of his strikes, something that, yeah, I know we talk about, we've just discussed the two sort of uber athletic raw guys who have the upside. The fact he's got 54 career starts, the floor he's got, he showed why. And then this athletic testing might, I know obviously you shouldn't double count it, but it might be that differentiator where you get towards our range and then towards the end of the first where has he reached his ceiling, or maybe there's a bit of athleticism there that Clemson just could not fully tap. So he raised his case. He's not got into top 10 range, but he's certainly gone from if we trade back, he's definitely on the cards to if he's there at 17, still be whelmed if we picked him, but it's not going to be exactly like a burn the house down. This is a bad pick. It's going to be a very 6 out of 10 B plus kind of pick rather than the C. I see the vision, but you could do a lot better.
Guards were really impressive this year as well, for the most part. Pregnon was fantastic. He's definitely that guard 2 in there. But then you had guys outside of that. I thought the Tamu pairing were really good. Bisontis looked really good if you want a later round guard prospect, which we're probably not going to want on our team now. But I think he had a really good day. You've got DJ Campbell, the Texas guard, he was crazy. Like the power, the hits he was getting in his drills and everything, the strength he was showing, went with this elite get off that he posted as well. Like, again, if you're looking a little bit later, I would be interested. And Caleb did well as well. Caleb Tiernan, I'm very happy with that. Yes, his arms and span measured in a little short, but he more than made up for that with his athletic testing. The vert was 98th percentile for a guard. For a tackle. Broad was even better. I think the RAS is probably better for him as a guard, but I still hold hope that he can make it there at tackle. So, but yeah, there was a lot of guys on the interior who did as well. Although no centers were amazing. No centers were amazing in this one, which that's left that position wide open now. I think Lou did okay given his circumstance. He benched a lot considering he's just back off a major injury, but no centers wowed me.
Fair enough. I was going to say that one that stood out to me, and people, Discord will know about it because I picked him one of the mocks that just stood when the Monty news broke. But Jaeger Burton, the Kentucky center, again, I know this is completely a Raz thing, but he had the top Raz of the guys that went there above Jake Slaughter, Logan Jones, Brian Parker, the second. All these guys stood out, and he was one of the guys that, admittedly, there was only so many people that could list, but he was one of the 5 guys that Pride of Detroit listed as winners. Though surprisingly, Slaughter wasn't Slaughter wasn't a part of that group. But you got Jaeger, you've got not mentioned Brailsford, but Sam Hex, Kansas State, is a former guy we love, was here as well. Former walk-on, had the giant bum that became like the non-mullet talk of the town of Dunker. He also popped off. So there was a couple of guys. Well, maybe their stuff wasn't exactly like mind-blowing in terms of athleticism and the on-field drills, but there's enough there to be intrigued by them, and Tex definitely becomes someone that I've got on my list to watch now.
Interesting thing, Dunker's RAS was about 2.5 points higher for being a guard. So just saying to everyone who wants him as a tackle, Math Bomb don't agree with you.
Let's turn our attention to the interior of the defensive line, and I've got a couple of prospects to highlight from Paul Air Walker's article here. He, in fact, and also mentioned DJ Campbell. He also had Falele Fauamoe, who we've highlighted on this show previously. Ash watched him before, and Logan Jones was one of his winners. But in the interior of the defensive line, he's listed out David Guster, the nose tackle from Kentucky, saying that he had a fringe 3-4 on him before, and his athletic testing really backed that up, whereas he's a fringe UDFA at the moment, apparently, on the consensus board. And then Zane Durant from Penn State apparently had a really good day as well. Otherwise, I think there were some really good performances in there by Caleb Proctor, who I think Ash has joked might be the better Proctor for the Lions. Who else is in this group? Caleb Banks, who as a fringe first round guy potentially, was an absolute freak. And who stood out to you?
Grayson did, and Grayson backed up everything I thought about him. He may be a little smaller, but Grayson Holton was absolutely amazing, and I want him. Um, I get it, 6'2.5", 293 pounds. Not the greatest in the world, but he's a pass rushing defensive tackle, and pass rushing defensive tackles can be smaller, and it's all about your explosion, your ability to get off the line, and your athletic ability, which are going to make or break you. He ranks third in the 40-yard dash, fifth in the 10-yard split, second in the broad, had the best vertical jump of everybody, and verts are big for linemen, the ability to get off, the ability to spring out of stance, and his speed. When he was running his 40, he ran at 21 miles an hour. That was second amongst all interior D linemen. Like, the dude is rapid. The get off is quick. The short area speed is quick. You saw a lot of his ability on show there. He's undersized, but I don't care. I've not got him in there as a he's good against the run as well, but he is meant to be disruptive. You've seen that Oklahoma defensive line this year. It all collapsed from the interior, and it was all down to him and the guys in there for doing that. I thought Grayson Holton was superb, and he knocked it out the park. Pass rushing DTs are at a premium, and he's just raised the premium on himself.
Yeah, Proctor was well. I was going to bring up and mention the joke that he's the better Proctor in this draft class for the Lions compared to the other one. Just hit the sort of ideals for the position according to Eric, with the 169 10-yard split. 170 is the ideal there, and then the 4.7940 4.94 is the ideal. And he looked good in his pass rushing drills. That's one of the ones I did manage to watch while I was half asleep, and he looked pretty good. I know he's a day 3 guy, but considering how the defensive tackle room looks right now, we do need that reliable pass rushing guy, who said. So definitely interested in him. Other than that, I don't know. Like, Eric has him listed, but the athletic testing just didn't see what the tiny bits in from him on tape. But Rashad Benny, the tackle from Michigan, I know he did some good stuff on the drills and that, but the tape just doesn't match up. So I'm not interested. I know we obviously spoke to him, but maybe he's a winner that someone else will take the risk on him. But for me, no.
Another one who I want to defend, and this is going to be my first shout at Raz here because it's just wrong, Lee Hunter. Lee Hunter was really good. I know the 40's pedestrian, but seeing the size of the man, like, he's huge. He's not there to be a guy who gets to the quarterback in 2 seconds. He's a guy who's there to destroy run games. And you actually watched his drills. The pass rush drill was surprisingly really good for him when he did.
Sort of takes on. So instead of me blathering about it and introducing the class because I didn't have too much to say, I do have something to say here. So instead, I might reverse this round and go to Ash first, and then go to Ant, and then I might finish off with a few takes. So I'm going to be negative on a few people. I know that will probably spark Ant into life, but I'm going to do it. Ash, who stood out for you in the edge group?
Well, for me, there's one, and he was already on the board for me at 17, and he showed out, in my opinion, and showed perhaps that, some of the stuff that said about him was wrong. TJ Parker. Very much obviously the production of thing and everything, but everyone's like, oh, to have the athleticism of some of the other guys. His testing was damn good. 161 10-yard split, 34-inch vert, 10-foot broad jump. So that was a top 5 athleticism score according to Next Gen Stats. Pretty damn bloody good. And even Eric, who said he had some reservations after that season regression, the on-field stuff as well, like the hoop drill, the pass rush drills with the hand usage, and that showed everything. He did show the waist bending a bit, just showed what he needs to do, and he did the linebacker drills and showed he can drop into coverage as well. So if you want to play him at Sam sometimes, well, not exactly advocating for that, he showed at least that he does have the ability to do that occasionally in the right situations.
And who stood out for you?
I mean, bit controversial here, but Arvell Reese, he's quite clearly going to be an edge at the next level. I know he went with the linebackers, but he absolutely knocked it out the park. Arvel Reese did. Like, his testing was just so good. Like, that battle for that 2 spot is going to be crazy. With the other 2 we'll mention in a moment, but I class him in the edge class, and he looked as destructive as he did. In terms of other edges, I thought Bane was really good on the even on the back of his test. Like, you know, people say about the size and everything, but the bits he did do, I thought Bane was really good. Falk, I'm still, Keldrick Falk is, I should hate him. I should hate him by all. What are you waiting for? I shouldn't like him, given that everything I've said about players like him in the past. But you watch him play and you're like, God, the kid's 20 years old. Like, he's got everything athletically he needs to. He does have the tools as a pass rusher. I thought again the drills were really good. I'm selling myself on that bit of potential name there. Don't shake your head at me. If I'm saying it, then they've got to be something different about it, because I'm usually right about these athletic freaks who just have nothing about them. They all bust out. And I'm right again and again and again. If even I'm saying he looks pretty good, then there's got to be something there. So
You just got higher
think,
standards.
well, you know, I'm now on the Bane train. I didn't think that Bane would be a possibility, but the arm size and everything say that he might do. I don't care about it, but if he lands here, fine. He's one of the strongest, most technically proficient guys there is, and I just don't see the I don't see all the hate he gets.
It's because people know that if we do draft him, I'm bringing out the impression time and time again, and people's ears are going to burn.
Just all going to burn.
A fire rises.
Right. So,
and also, very quickly, anyone who says Bailey's not worth number 2 is lying. Again, he also did well. I was pretty impressed with him, and Hal for the most part. I know Hal's arms are super tiny, but I all thought they did themselves well in testing to kind of negate some of the sizes there were. Also, Messidor's a coward for not testing, and I will stand by that. He should have, because he has a lot to prove, and he didn't, and that's a red flag for me that he didn't test.
Yeah, So Bane didn't test apart from just doing his measurements, and for me, you knew the arms would be small. It was as close to 31 as you can get, and then the wingspan was only a tiny bit shorter than our Mason Thomas and Akeem Messidor. So, if anything, I think it was slightly better than expected. I think the discourse on him is really, really funny. The Athletic Football Show described Arvel Reese's combine as the best of anyone in the combine, bar none. Which I think is interesting considering who we're going to come on and talk about. But in terms of how he looks in the drills, I think was meant to be the overriding point. So, not to underdo what Reese did out there, which was exceptional. Bailey checked the box. He did enough. Like, the on-field stuff speaks for itself. Go out there, don't make a fool of yourself. He didn't. Perfect. Anyone who thinks that Bane's going to be an issue at the next level because of arm size has to look at Cassius Howe, who I thought looked excellent in drills. Like, really polished, really measured, in control of every step he was taking. And I think to win at the next level, or even at the college level, with that arm size, he has to be basically perfect. So I think it's going to be interesting to see how he does at the next level. I wouldn't want to be the one taking a chance on him. Like, just because it's that much further on from Bane. Bane, I'm happy to take the risk because of what you've seen at the next level, and I think it translates. It's just a bit further for Howe that I'm like, oh no.
Also, to Rich Baldwin in the comments, that's mean. That's really mean about Keldrick Falk. He says he's Josh Pascal 2.0. I would never, ever endorse Josh Pascal. Ever. Do not. Don't do that. I will never, ever. That's almost making me want to hate him now. That's cruel.
Well, let me help you, and I can give you one negative about Falk that mean that when it comes to it, you can hate on him. He's a snake. He gets reporters to drive 3.5 hours to go to his commitment ceremony, only to turn around at the last second and go to bloody Auburn.
That sounds like someone who hasn't been burned by him in the past.
That sounds quite cool. That does.
That's oddly personal.
It's
In fact, usually he screws off Florida State. It's usually
and it was.
Right. So 2 players that I was totally unimpressed by. One was Zion Young,
Fair,
who I thought looked sloppy in drills, lacked body control. For someone who wants to go at the top end of the second round, he is still someone who's going to produce at the next level, but I think he's going to be that sort of mid-tier player who is a jobbing edge who will always find themselves a sort of edge 2, edge 3 contract at around 8 to 10 million a year. Like, he's going to be a 4 or 5 sack guy in the NFL per year. I feel fairly confident about that. So when I say disappointed, it's because he gets so often mocked to the Lions at 50 that I'm like, oh, let's see what we got. And I came away suitably unimpressed. The other one was Keldrick Folk. And I know that me and Ant talked about this on Discord. The hoop drill was excellent, and I do not want to skirt over that, because hoop drill is the most translatable drill for edge defenders beyond the 3-cone, which no one does. Especially at his size, getting down to actually place the thing on the ground, very impressive. But for basically every other drill, he looked kind of gangly and uncontrolled and a bit of a... I don't know. I wanted to... like.
But, breaking news. The Lions have released Graham Glasgow. Literally just broke.
Wow.
Bye, Graham.
Yeah, that's
Fuck.
not...
That's what I was like. I saw that. I was like, yeah, fuck.
And Liam Eichenberg as well has gone. What fun. Yeah, it had to be. Okay. So
Liam didn't think he was the worst guard getting released this evening.
So Folk, I mean, the way that he performed is not going to take him probably out the first round for me. I don't think it's that bad at all. And clearly, Ant has perfectly said very well, you know, he's young and there's refinement to do there and the physical skills you can't teach. I just wish there was a bit more meat on that bone for me to want to take him for. Like, he requires manicuring and polishing in a heavy way for me. But I want to highlight a long list of guys who I think have made themselves a lot of money, unless the fact that they've all done well dilutes the class and then subsequently keeps everyone exactly where they are. Malachi Lawrence might be the biggest winner of the combine. I thought he was unbelievably good. Fast, powerful, aggressive, twitchy, totally in control. I thought that he vaulted himself from kind of top of round 4 into bottom of round 2, maybe. I think he's made himself a good chunk of change. Danny Dennis-Sutton had the best RAS score amongst all the edge defenders. His tape's fine. I think he's going to go, again, in that sort of late round 2, early round 3 conversation, and someone's going to get a steal with him. The other 4 are late day 3 picks, or mid to late day 3 picks, who I thought just did themselves the world of credit. Mason Riger, who, if someone takes a chance on him because he should have medically retired in his college career, if someone takes a chance on his knee, and he managed to see through his rookie contract as a round 7, round 6 pick, and he's going to make someone very, very happy because, man, he might have been in the top 5 edge defenders on display in terms of quality. I just thought he was a beast. Nadame Tucker, excellent. I thought was very, very good. Bigger guy, just in control.
Poor athlete.
Oh,
Poor athlete for his size. His athletic figures were not good, and that is going to hinder him a lot.
Potentially. I enjoyed watching him in the drills. So
Drills are good,
on the on-field,
but the athletic ability isn't.
Fair. Someone else probably in that vein who I thought looked really good in the drills, I can't remember what the testing was like, it was Tyreek Sapp, Warren Sapp's son.
Didn't get a Raz, but
6'2", 273, 9.5-inch hands, 32-inch arms.
didn't do any of the drills, so
Yeah.
you just got the measurements.
Yeah, 28 on something. Bench press.
Also, Mason Ryder doesn't have that bad injury issues. These are not career-defining issues. We're going to limit his career.
I hope that's true.
Phillips, yeah.
The last guy is an Iowa guy, Max Llewellyn, who I know that the tape isn't spectacular on him.
Balls in the Big Ten this year. We said a lot of nice things about him pre-season. Him and Ethan Hackett were meant to be one of the best edge rushing pairs in the country, and they were both dire in retrospect.
And then someone who basically did nothing for himself because it just confirmed that he is exactly who he is Romello Height. He's probably just a round 4 guy. And, like, it's a choose your adventure with him. He could very well make someone very, very happy, and he could get cut in his rookie contracts, and I have no idea which it's going to be. Did you want to come back on Keldrick Folk? Because me and you went back and forth a little bit, Ant.
Not really saying much more, to be fair.
All right.
Yeah.
Let's move on then instead to the linebackers. And sure, I'm going to leave the best for last. This might have been, to a man, the best group of the whole combine. I was massively impressed by like 7 or 8 different guys. Jack Kelly, I thought was really, really good from BYU. Caleb Ilamzor, I thought was very, very nice on the on-field drills. Kyle Louis, we've spoken about no end. He's just
the Fly by Sweet Prince.
Yeah, I mean, the sky's the limit for him in terms of where he can go. Jake Golday reminded us of who he is, considering who he's played for and the fact that they've been shit for a while. Jacob Rodriguez backed up everything anyone's been saying about him. Anthony Hill Jr. was fantastic. And to top it all off, Sonny Styles might be one of the best prospects we've ever seen at the Combine. So, and to come to you, this linebacker group is fucking insane.
Yeah, as you said, a lot of them did themselves a hell of a lot of good going into the draft next month. And, you know, it's going to be tough now to kind of rank them. I mean, a lot of them are very specific in what they do. So I think a lot of teams are going to have these guys in different orders, but they're all just fantastic football players. Jacob Rodriguez was the great one because they were all just saying unathletic, not that good, etc. He just kind of showed everyone that they're talking out their arse. Like, his athleticism is, if anything, much better than we thought it was going to be, even though we thought it was good anyhow. Like, there are no more questions left for him to answer in terms of, can he be a do-it-all green dot linebacker at the next level who's just going to do every single thing in the world for you. And quite rightfully, he's moving up into the first round of mock drafts now. Like, that is how good he is. He is the best linebacker in this class, like pure thoroughbred, not one of these tweener types that are going right at the top. Like, in terms of a thoroughbred middle linebacker, like, he's that guy. But like you said, all of them did. Kyle looked fantastic, and it kills me because the only way we'll get him now is a trade back. He just did everything that you wanted to see. You saw the range, you saw the athletic ability. Like, we knew this already, but like, it was just on show. He's knocked this postseason out of the ground. And he's been absolutely fantastic. Even going right down. The one I really liked as well was Keyshawn Elliott. And I know Ryan will know about him more, but in terms of his ability he's another blitz linebacker that you really want to get your teeth into. But he looked absolutely fantastic in all his drills. Had some really explosive numbers in there. I think he was third amongst linebackers with the broad. He was right up there with the vert as well. So this is kind of a pick-me. There's a linebacker for every system in this draft. And they were all tremendous, as I say, yeah. But Kyle was it, and I'm sad he's going to be where he is. And Stoney Styles, there's just no way in hell you can have 16 Las Vegas Raiders GMs and teams in front of you. Even all 16 of them wouldn't screw that pick up. Eventually, one of them by accident will pick him. It's just not going to happen. He's one of those who you're like, yeah. that's potential future Hall of Fame guy if he goes there, and you just want to see him do well. It's an insane group, to be fair. I love them.
Excuse me. Going outside. Yeah, I just find it, and I know we've mentioned Reese earlier, but Reese is getting all the plaudits when Styles had just a good combine and had the same amount of sacks as Reese in college, despite playing quite a lot less on the edge. And yet suddenly Reese is the presumptive number 2 overall pick, which is fair. He's probably still going to go top 5 anyway, despite being an off-ball linebacker. But yeah, it was obviously Kyle, my sweet prince, who I've been just like cheating all the mock draft simulators by getting him in the 4th round. That ain't happening. If you listen to the stuff coming out of the combine from Riz, it seems he's not even leaving the top 32 anymore. If he's there on the board for Seattle, suppose they're going to run the picking for him, which will break my heart. But as well as certain other persons on the panel, because yet another pick by the Seattle Seahawks that he loves. The other one that got me was Jake Golday, the Cincinnati backer. I know he's very much a Mike build, basically the same height as Jack, slightly lighter, run the same kind of athletic scores, but the coverage drills from him, which I did manage to see, was pretty damn good, and he would be a very good very good sort of 1-for-1 replacement for Anzalone in terms of the skill set. Can play a bit of Mike, can play Will, can also blitz a bit. I wouldn't be mad, but with this performance, he's probably pushed himself into that like day 2 conversation, which means either it's a trade back from 15, you manage to pick him up, or you trade up with some of the picks we've got today from Monty and all that, you package them and try and get him in his range, because otherwise, we're looking at some more specialized guys. One, I was disappointed that Duggar wasn't invited. I would love to see him test out, but got to wait for his pro day numbers. But for the most part, this linebacker group really showed out, and it's showing that it's pretty damn deep. So hopefully we'll be able to find someone with the skill set we need to fill out the linebacker room.
All right, 2 position groups to go, both defensive backs, starting with the cornerbacks. And I actually haven't managed to make any notes on the cornerback group, which is really useful for these purposes, obviously. Give me a moment. Looking over the class, some really, really athletic performances, especially by Sonny Styles' brother, Lorenzo Styles Jr., 9.96. I know he's way down there potentially in UDFA territory. I was actually really impressed by him. I thought that he looked better on on-field drills than I was expecting of someone where he's meant to be drafted at, which is not. Otherwise, I don't know. A lot of the really big names didn't do a huge amount of the athletic testing, like Keontae Scott and D'Angelo Pons. And I'm going to turn it over to you, man. Cornerbacks.
Yeah, Avian Terrell was the standout. Like, he just looks so good. 34-inch vert for him, 10'3" broad. A little smaller than maybe we thought. I think he came in just under 5'11", but in terms of watching his on-field workouts, like, he was the best corner out there, period. He's got a huge wingspan, considering he is a little bit smaller. I say look good with the jumps, look good in his on-field drills. I thought he's cemented himself now right up at the top there, because there is a little cluster of guys around, but I still think Avian Terrell should be one of the first corners off the board, if not the first. Jermud McCoy is a coward. Not doing any drills there is an act of cowardice. Waiting for his pro day at Tennessee. He's 15 months removed from his injury, and now he's going to go and take all the player-friendly numbers he's going to go and get at his pro day instead of doing the work at the combine. I think it was wrong of him, and teams should, because he said he's healthy. Like, I literally put the 2 things in the thing. He said he's healthy, but then he's not ready. He's saying conflicting statements. On one hand, he's telling people he can do everything there. On the other, he's saying his body's not ready, which is just a crock of shit. So that's a red flag, which I wouldn't look past. But he said a lot of the corners didn't do an entire amount of work there. Thought Pons' size came in a little less than I would have liked. I'd say about 5'8.5", but I mean, he did a 44-inch vert, I think it was. Like I'd still put him at outside corner in the NFL. Like he can do it. Like he's got the range, he's got the springiness to be able to deal on the outside. And again, I'd love to have seen him do a little bit more while over there, but I've seen enough. I've been watching him since his James Madison days, and he's absolutely ready to go there. Also thought in terms of boosting their stock, Takario Davis did a really good job as well. Pretty much the only corner who came in about 6'4" as well, so he's one of the taller guys. A lot of the other 6'4"ers reduced in height, which is going to be good for him for a team who likes that, Lions. But you know, his testing 441 for 40, which was good. The 10-yard split was sub 160. Again, nice vert, nice broad. He's just coming off sort of a disappointing year at Washington, but we've seen his ability when he's on form. And yeah, I thought I loved what I saw from him. And then I keep saying then because I keep remembering guys, but in terms of, you know, another guy who needed just to put some things to bed, even though he should be going high in the draft, Chris Johnson, the SDSU corner, was fantastic, and his measurements were pretty decent for what he got on the day. I thought he at least, if anything, stabilized his stock because he's just been sliding a little bit because he was a first round pick at one point. He just sort of seems slide down to 40, and you're like, where's this going? But I think he's sort of solidified himself definitely in that top 45 range. Again, one of the stronger man coverage guys after Bonds. Someone will go for him quickly.
All right. Oh, sorry, Ash. Beg your pardon.
Yeah, I've got one. It's a later one, and we all know I like my special teams. So when Eric mentions someone who he thinks has the ability to be a day one gunner, it stands out to me. And then I go and check, and he gets a 9.97 RAS. Charles Deming, the Stephen F. Austin corner, 6'1", 193, 4.42 40-yard dash, 43 vertical, 10-foot broad jump dead. And then I went back and watched a bit of his on-field drills on YouTube. Dude looked really good. Like, and I know Khalil's had a couple of injury issues over the past couple of years. If you want to move on from him and get someone in the late day 3, maybe UDFA range, he's got the ability to play outside at his size. He's got the movement skills and that to match up in man coverage, and he's got the special teams ability to stick on the roster day one. So he's someone that I'm definitely keeping my eye on. And if he's at the back of my mock drafts, picking him up because we all know I love my special teams.
Many thanks to Brent DeWitt 1964 sending 5 Raw the Lions UK gift memberships on YouTube. Appreciated. Right, final group is the safety group. I don't know why I said Lorenzo Styles Jr. in the cornerback group. I do, because Raz have him as a corner, even though everyone else has him at a safety position. But anyway, otherwise, it's funny, isn't it? Because safety is maybe one of those positions where I'd say that all of this testing is the least impactful thing. And to Ant's point, not point, because the point hasn't been made yet, but he's made it over the last 5 years very consistently. The best safeties are the ones who have the highest IQ, who diagnose the players and have sufficient physicality to make a play on the ball because their intelligence has put them in the right place. And so in some ways, the physical testing doesn't make a huge amount of difference to this group. However, if you can take that IQ and mix it with some insane testing, that's quite a nice mix. And looking at this group, with the exception of Caleb Downs, who ticked a box and was otherwise, I think, unremarkable in terms of the athletic testing, it was an insanely strong athletic testing group, the safety group. And I'm going to go through a few names who I thought just really showed off how good they were, either in the athletic testing or in the drills. Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, Dylan Tieneman, Jalen Kilgore, Bud Clark, AJ Halsey, Michael Taff, Xavier Wankper. That's a variety of names from round 1 to round 7, but when it came to the testing, I thought they were all, to a man, absolutely fantastic, and there's probably some that I've totally missed off as well.
Oh, AJ Halsey's the star here. 215 pounds and he ran a 4.54 in his 40. He was the heaviest guy there. Like, he's got speed. And I've done the tape on it, and you can see himself. His closing speed is absolutely insane, and that showed through. His drills were perfection. Saw him when they were doing the catching. He was high pointing all his catches. Good anticipation skills because he's learnt it from a long time of just been an absolute ball hawk in the NFL, and it all goes back to his sight, his eyes, where he's looking at. He's the most cerebral out of a lot of them, and I will die on that hill. And outside of Caleb Downs, he's got the potential to have the best career of them all. He will spend a long time in the NFL because of his brain alone. But yeah, Halsey knocked it out of the park. There's nothing more he can do now. Like, the only question is, where's he going to go and how high is he going to go? I think a lot of these safeties have just pushed themselves up very high right now, and I'm interested to see what order they go in. But yeah, AJ Halsey is phenomenal, and if we're one of his picks, then I'm not going to complain at all. Heineman was amazing. Like, Heineman reminded you who he is, because everyone's when there's a guy like Caleb Downs around who's billed as generational and whatnot. Same with Hamilton. The rest of the class kind of don't get forgotten about, but kind of people just don't rave about them because they've already got a generational player in there. And Tyneman has, since his days as a true freshman at Purdue, looked like a budding star and he's acted like a budding star, and he's gone to one of the biggest programs and played like a star. And his ability is his athletic ability. Like, he's rangy. He can cover every inch of a field back at free safety. And you saw that in this one. The 40 was rapid. The movement drills again were fantastic. You're just like, what can't he do? He made money. And like you say, McNeil Warren, in a class which is getting better, tested really well. Like, I think these guys know the competition is there, like it's high. It's 6 months ago I was looking at this safety class and I'm like, yeah, not really much I'm that intrigued by here. And I mean, was very, 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 very wrong on that one. But Clark, as you said, looked tremendous as well. I thought Traden Stooks, he's had a really good offseason, the Arizona safety. He put in some good measurements as well, some really good athletic times as well. You saw he's just been all over, and he's been in college a little longer. He's a little older, but all his testing was like 90th percentile or better. Like, the 40 is one of the quickest ever ran by a safety. So yeah, it was just nothing but non-stop good performances from those guys, and a lot of them have the tape to back it up as well. So yeah, come draft time, it's going to be really intriguing to see how many of them go, because there could be a lot in the top 100, like a lot.
Yeah, Bud Clark was going to be my guy for obvious reasons. We all know what I'm like with rangy deep safeties with turnover skills. And he even said that he reportedly models Kirby Joseph in his game. So that's going to win me over. And he tested really well as well. A 4.41, 40-yard dash, 38 vert, 10'7" broad jump. Looks good in drills as well. And there was obviously glad a few injury concerns in college. But for someone, if Kirby's a long-term injury risk, get Bud in, learn under him. And then if we have to cut Kirby next year, slide in Bud into that free safety role, and we won't miss too much. And that's me saying it as Kirby Joseph's biggest fan. And then the other guy that stood out to me, and went back and watched this tape, and I was like, finally, they'd learned their lesson from last year. Jalen Kilgore, the sort of hybrid safety from South Carolina, like, showed out. I managed to go back and watch a bit of his tape, and I was like, this is what they should have been doing with Amawari last year. This is what I'm calling for. And then they did it this year with Kilgore, and it showed out. Playing in the box, like lounging around, using his athletic skills and his ability to do everything, showed out. And he's someone that's definitely on the options for the other side. If we don't think Branch is going to be a lot here for long, like, we don't think he's going to come back fully from the Achilles, and is he going to be too much to re-signing him to a long-term contract? He can do the Branch role and play a bit of the sort of overhang stuff that we used to do with Branch in the slot, and do the Emery while we have Kirby and Harper or Maddox or whoever patrolling the back end. You can have Kilgore as your matchup tight end killer weapon.
All right. Not going to go into specialists because,
soon.
I mean, the one thing I'd say is, did you see? And I'm sorry, trauma to Ash here, but did you see Trace Max kicking? he's fucking phenomenal. He is absolutely amazing. Like he's the next big thing at kicker in the NFL. So I know he's a Gator and Ash doesn't like Gators, but like honestly, he knocked one in from about 65. They had him doing one. You're like, my God, that thing could have flown in for like another 15 yards. I don't know what it's like inside at Lucas Oil there, but whatever's in his legs, he's juicing, man. Like his kicking is absolutely phenomenal. It is a good class of kickers, but we just don't need one, so.
All right. Any observations on the combine or any other thoughts before we get out of here?
Screw most of the media. I know why they did it, but why the fuck did they not stick around for the offensive lineman? Blatant disrespect.
Yeah, the combine needs to get shorter. I do understand the thing where they said they can't stay out. Like, there's some wasted days there. You don't need to do the Monday, really. I know, Monday's just everyone arriving and set up and everything. It's like, well, just do all your GM and head coach interviews in a day. I'm sure you can do that. You can knock one day off and been there. It is a shame the linemen don't get the love. Like, we literally have a crisis in the NFL right now of not enough good offensive linemen, and people wonder why when stuff like the combine that just people don't give a fuck about them.
Okay.
And generally, they're some of the most fun ones as well, as we were debating yesterday. Like, you don't know what you're going to get in an interview with some of these guys. Like, you could just go right down the Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole with some of them and what they do and what they get up to. I find them some of the most fascinating players, like, on the team in general.
Just very quickly from Graham, he's sent some thanks to Detroit. He tweeted, "I'm grateful for the 7 years I've spent as a Detroit Lion. I'm thankful for the great teammates, coaches and friends I had along the way. I love the city and the fans that have supported me for the best part of a decade. There was truly no place I would have rather been," which I think is a really classy way to sign off for a career, because according to him streaming at the moment, it would take a good team and a perfect scenario to get him keeping playing football, which sounds very much like a retirement. Yeah. All right. If there's nothing else, and the college football podcast will be back later on this week with some deeper dives into the combine, as well as some of the top 10 lists that you are requesting in the chat. If you have any thoughts on stuff you'd like to see, get them in, because I know the guys are very happy to take requests on that sort of thing. It is the time of year. This show will be back this time next week for no, it won't. It won't, because is it not tampering
legal
period?
Tampering next week.
Legal tampering opens next week, so I think we're going to do a little bit of prospect work, and we're going to talk about prospects in and amongst talking about the opening of effectively free agency for all intents and purposes, and we'll see what all the movement is happening. I mean, it's kicked off today. As soon as the combine has finished, all the free agency stuff releases in trades. It's all happening right now. So Tuesday next week, we will be live for the tampering period opening. You know where to find us on social, so I won't bore you with it. Remains for me to thank Anthony Fitzpatrick and Ashley Soden. Thank you to everyone for listening. We'll see you later on in the week for the college football show. But for now, let's go Lions on Pride.
One pride.
One pride.
Recording stopped.